How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today we're going to be giving my unbiased opinion and just talking basically about World of Tanks console, whether it's actually been fixed since the oldest or the old new update in the form of update 6.0, and then more recently the bundle tanks that came into the game. And now we've had this kind of release by Wargaming recently, yesterday actually, as of the recording and upload of this video, being that they will be increasing the amount of silver earn that you will get in the Cold War game mode by 10% on every multiplayer battle. So what that means is you just be basically getting some more silver when you play, whether that be in the lowest tier or the highest tier. It's available for all Cold War vehicles, so you will have that 10% silver bonus. My one problem that I have with this is that although this is a good addition, it's only for 11 days, so it's only a temporary kind of thing that they've introduced. Everyone knows about the problems with the silver in terms of costing you 1.1 million just to upgrade one package. Very, very expensive. They've justified basically this by saying that, you know, you'll be earning slightly more playing the post-war game mode as you continue down the tank lines. Yes, that's true, but then again, you'll probably have to fire more premium to compete because it's not that diverse. There's a lot of things that I feel about World of Tanks console in particular have kind of been changed in a way that it's just not gone down well. Obviously you guys know that you've been playing more than likely if you're watching this video, or you've played at some point in the past. I don't know, but the main focus of this video is to just basically talk about what's actually happened, the changes, the fixes Wargaming have made, and whether overall it's still a satisfying experience when you actually play and step onto the game. For me, you know, I think I'll give my opinion at the end of the video because, you know, we'll talk about everything and then sum it up, and I come to my own conclusion. Obviously, you guys, I would really like you to basically leave your opinions in the comment section down below, and make sure you stay tuned with the channel to keep up with any World of Tanks console stuff, should you actually want to know any more about the game. Now, anyway, moving swiftly on. First thing that we kind of want to talk about whilst there's some gameplay going on in the background is basically the introduction of update 6.0. Has the game actually developed since then? Has it got better? In all senses, yes. The game has got better since update 6.0 first came in. Has it been completely fixed? Hell no. There's still loads of problems. We've got things like the consumable resupply when it ends, when the duration ends on the enhanced rations. You know, your reticle will pop up. That basically means you can miss shots when your reticle pops up because of the resupply of the consumable. Massive problem. You know, when you're playing in game, the game shouldn't actually want you to miss your target if you've aimed correctly. That's something that I am shocked that hasn't even been fixed yet. That should be something that should be basically simply fixed, in my personal opinion. It's something that actually impacts the gameplay. It's not some of these extra external things like the amount of silver you earn, etc, etc. This is basically one of the core things, and I think that a lot of players got annoyed with the introduction of update 6.0 on console was because it impacted the actual gameplay. People can get over the fact of introducing new kinds of systems into the game. You know, as long as the core gameplay stays the same, it remains the same, people are going to enjoy it. Now, I'm not saying that the gameplay has to stay the exact same, because obviously as you develop, as the game progresses, and as you move forward into the future, making sure that you actually develop as a company, as a game, you introduce new things, you try new things, to basically keep it fresh. You don't want it stagnating. You don't want a game where you're just playing on various different things that have been the same for 7 years. You know, that gets boring. Even if it's a game where they continually release new tanks, if they're not introducing new things, new ideas, new concepts, it does get boring. My main problem with Wargaming console is that they introduce changes that no one's even talked about. They've not even talked about it before. Their development seems to become a case of they develop the idea themselves. They don't ask for any ideas from the community. They don't even run their ideas through the community as to what people actually like before they add it into the game, which is one of the key things that, you know, successful companies tend to do in terms of trying to keep their player base. You know, would you like this direction in terms of development? Yes or no? Does the community want to see that? Yes or no? That doesn't happen with console, or at least until the later stages, at which point they've introduced it. People have gone, this is rubbish, we don't want to see this in the game, remove it. Then they go, oh, we've just wasted a load of dev time developing a thing that nobody really wanted in the first place, and if we just asked, we probably would have saved ourselves some time. Whether that's pressure from, you know, the organisation or management, I don't know. I'm not an employee at Wargaming. I don't get paid by Wargaming. Wargaming don't give me anything really, other than obviously Minto allowing me to review some tanks, which I really appreciate. You know, that's fantastic, and I think Minto's doing a great job as a community liaison. It's got so much better, and you know, this thing on screen right now, this post-war stimulus, that's as a direct result of people mentioning it to the community liaison. You know, it's come through. This would never have happened in the past. You know, when they introduce things like that, they never actually really go back on what they've done. It tend to have just been, this is what we've done, this is what you're going to have to play. Whether you hate it, love it, we're going to continue to get players coming into the game. So if you leave, we don't really care. And this is a good step in the direction for World of Tanks console, but I don't think it is the be-all and end-all, and I would 100% like to see more from Wargaming in terms of the feedback. And they say, look, you can feedback to us your various different things that you'd like to see, but why not actually introduce our feedback into the beginning of the process? You know, which way would we like to see the game? Would you like to see more development on the Cold War or the World War II mode? You know, that sort of thing is the kind of key thing that I want to see Wargaming to actually do. That's not been done recently anyway, in terms of development. As of the future of this video, I don't know. Maybe that changes. Hopefully that changes, because, you know, it does get a bit frustrating when you're playing a game that the developer just seems to do what they want to do, rather than what the community wants to do. Now, I'm not saying that the community, you know, don't know what they're on about. I know that sometimes it is a vocal minority, whereby 90% of players are absolutely happy with it, happy with the direction it's going, but 10% of them are making a massive fuss. You know, that happens. But I found with, you know, people that you play with, people that you talk to, the player base, it's changed dramatically on console, and it's definitely a sizable portion that felt like they just could not play the game again. Me personally, I'm going to continue making content. I'm going to continue playing World of Tanks because that is the game I play. You know, we're able to play various different things. There's plenty of new modes coming out, lots of new content, but I feel like sometimes it comes in at a cost of the actual excitement of the game, introducing new modes that weren't really thought about. I don't particularly like Cold War. They were mentioned in the super test as to the problems that people were facing, silver costs, various different matchmaking issues, where no one's ever going to play the bottom tier tank in the era, like the T44A or the M46A1 pattern. They're only going to play the top tier ones. They're never going to revisit, because why would you want to pick to be bottom tier all of the time? In a game, obviously you're going to pick the top one every single time, and there's no reason for you to play it again once you've actually ground through it. It'd have been much better if they just did it 1 to 10, whereby, or 1 to 9, whereby everything meets the next tier up, if that makes sense. So it's not 3 different separate matchmakers. That's my personal take on it. I don't particularly like the Cold War game mode anyway, because it's got true vision, and that's a whole different topic. Don't worry for those of you veterans who may not actually have joined the game back since the modern tanks, but basically they've introduced true vision, so if you know about that, you know, the problems with it, being able to basically shoot people from the beginning of the game. Yeah, disgusting. Not something I want to see in my game. Yeah, I really despise True Vision personally. Obviously you guys can like it, and obviously people do like it because they play the Cold War game mode, and I see in the comment section people saying that they actually enjoy playing it. Gives a bit of diversity. Would be interesting to see as to whether they'll introduce the modern tanks but with the standard vision system, because I'd actually prefer that, and I'd actually maybe play the Cold War game mode more. But yeah, that's just one interesting thing that we can talk about. Now, one extra thing that I did want to note though is the introduction of this new equipment that have come in with the Modern Tanks update. You've got an improved traction system and one other that basically improves your speed if you were to put it on your tank by 15% in total if you put the two equipment together. Combine that with the fuel boost, you can get 20% total speed boost. Now, whack that on a tank that already goes 70 kilometers an hour and you've got a pretty broken speed. Console knew that the EBRs on PC were something that people don't like, people don't enjoy, you know, where 30 seconds into the game they're being swarmed by an EBR at the beginning of the game. They've thrown their tank away, but they've also dealt 90% of your hit points because they've just YOLO'd you at the beginning of the game. That is kind of happening on console with regards to things like the Snakebite, the T50-2, some of the really fast light tanks. T100 LT being able to go 90 kilometers an hour is very disgusting, and they obviously knew this because they've stopped it on certain tanks that they knew would be overpowered, like the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen can only put one of the equipment on, so you can't have both. Various different tanks have that, and I would have liked to have seen changes whereby they can only be applied to one proportion of the tank, so maybe only heavy tanks and mediums and tank destroyers can put it on, and not light tanks, because, you know, being able to go an extra like 15 kilometers an hour faster in a light tank, yeah, not something that is ever going to be balanced, and I don't know how they came about with that solution, and that's something that I really want to see changed, because whether the statistics say that the win rate of light tanks has gone up or down, it doesn't really matter, because it's the fact that, you know, they can go so fast and they can just YOLO in. It just becomes a gameplay that isn't so fun for those of you who decide to actually play in your heavy tanks, try and grind through the tech trees, playing stock tanks, coming up against tanks that are going 90 kilometers an hour around the side of you without any real negative benefit or negatives around that tank. So, as far as the actual glitches and the patches that Wargaming have done, yes, they've been okay in terms of crew skills. Have they actually been changed since update 6.0? No is the answer. They've not been changed. They're exactly the same. You'll have 9 skills that you can change. They've added like one new skill, which was that you can half the time that you can flip in game, so instead of it being like 8 seconds to flip, it will be 4 seconds, completely useless for 99% of situations that you get yourself into. I don't enjoy that. Don't see why some of the veterans lost so many crew skills. I kind of get the idea that yes, it makes it available for new players, you don't have to grind as much, but even still, like, the amount of XP you need for your 9th skill is ridiculous, and I don't really like this this commander system. I think there could definitely be some improvements. They could add a few more skills that make it a bit more diverse, because currently, you know, you only pick the same 9 skills pretty much on every single tank that you play in, whether that be a tank destroyer or a heavy tank. They're very similar, maybe 1 or 2 differences. So in terms of other things, we have platoons. They got limited from 5 to 3, so you can only have 3-man platoons now. Kind of, I get why they did that, kind of balances the game a little bit, but it does take away from the community aspect where you can have 5 different of your mates to actually play together. Now you can only have 3, which, you know, isn't the best, and I think it kind of takes away from the casual kind of player base. And I think 90% of players that play on this game are casuals, so I guess it would be better to reintroduce 5-man platoons in terms of what the community think. In my personal opinion, I think it, as far as game balance is going, and in terms of game balance, you probably should have 3-man platoons, because I can only imagine what 5-man platoon of Panzer 5-4s is like, considering I played mine in a 3-man for like 50 games and had a 92% win rate. Yeah, just absolutely horrific. If that's allowed to happen, maybe they'll have to put some like limits to the same amount of tanks that you can use as part of one platoon, so it doesn't mess the matchmaker up too much. I think overall we've got a somewhat kind of, it feels like a bit of a beta at the moment. Like there's a lot of things in there that just don't seem to be fully fleshed out. There's plenty of avenues that they could go down to make the game better for everyone. I feel like the new player experience is horrific, really is horrific for anyone that comes onto the game. Yes, they've made it more accessible for people to get premium tanks because of the season pass and being able to, you know, basically generate your own gold back and make more gold for free, essentially. Once you've paid for the season pass once, you pretty much get more than 2,000 gold back. So over time you can pick up premium tanks via that way. But then they've also introduced this drain on silver, whereby there's a lot of things that cost silver. Consumables cost you silver every single game, whether you use them or not. You've got things like premium ammunition that also take away from the silver. The upgrade costs of the new Cold War game mode introducing a silver drain. You've got various different things, packages, new tanks. You've got loads and loads of things that require silver, and I think that that's the way that they're trying to monetize the game now, introducing basically an economy around the game where it's not so much about premium tanks, buying premium tanks, it's now about buying gold to spend on silver, buying silver packages, kind of supplementing the loss on the premium tanks that they're making by giving them out for free, and then adding on this silver drain whereby people then need to either buy premium tanks and premium time or buy silver itself. And I think that that's what's the main aim of Wargaming console right now, and I don't like it at all. You know, it's not good for new players when they come onto the game and they cannot get anywhere because the silver cost is way too high, and that in order to get anywhere they have to spend £40, and then they're going to go, well, it's a free game that seems like I'm just going to have to pay money to win, or not win, but pay money to actually get anywhere anytime soon and be competitive in the game, and therefore I'm just going to leave, because what's the point of me sticking around? Focusing like their development on the new player experience, and also just ensuring that people have a good quality of life is something that I think Wargaming could really benefit from, and I don't think that they're doing that to the best of their ability right now. There's definitely been an improvement, but I don't think it's quite there. And for the conclusion of this video, I personally have found after Update 6.0 and the modern tanks that I enjoy the game less, not because of any particular reason entirely, but I feel like the introduction and this kind of cycle of Wargaming introducing things that were preemptive, that they weren't ready for, that they've introduced because of just time pressure or managerial pressure onto developers to push content out that isn't ready, just this lack of information towards the community in terms of the long-term development that they're going. They've said that they were meant to be introducing this this kind of roadmap system that we have not seen. They talked about that 5 months ago. It's been 5 months. We've still not seen a single bit of roadmap as to where we're actually going with regards to the content. And they've said, here you go, here's Italian heavies, they're coming at some point soon. How soon? Are we talking summer, or are we talking late in the year? Are we talking the next update in June? Are we talking, you know, when are we actually getting this content? What are you developing for the rest of this year? Are you focusing main development on Cold War to introduce new tank lines? Therefore, people that want to play World War II are going to go, well, I don't want to play this game if all they're going to do is introduce Cold War tanks, and I'm just going to be left behind, and we're never going to get to the same level of development as World of Tanks PC in terms of the content that they get. So I'm just going to leave. I'm going to play PC, because why not? At least they focus on certain aspects of the game. I think Wargaming might be ending up with a situation like that if they don't manage it correctly, and currently I'm not entirely sure that they are. And to wrap up this video, I basically want to say, you know, if you want, is the game fixed from update 6.0? No, it's not completely fixed, it's 90% fixed. There's plenty of new stuff in the game, there's plenty of new content. If you haven't played in a while, you can have some fun. You can have some fun if you've been playing for a while. You know, it's a game where there's always something new to play. You can play different tank lines, you can try out new builds. There's loads more content like that. I just feel like the development side of the game is somewhere that is lacking, and that's the region of the game that kind of makes me a bit annoyed and frustrated when I jump onto the game to have a go. Other than that, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Make sure to leave your comments as to what you thought about the video, and also what your discussion and what your comments on World of Tanks console actually is, because it's really important that we convey these messages to Wargaming. It's really, really important that they actually listen, because eventually people do get fed up, and sometimes it is the last straw for players and they will just leave. Yes, it might not be a massive proportion of your game, but if you're hemorrhaging players every month that you could have contained, you can effectively stop yourself growing, and actually you can end up losing player base every month. And that's something that I think Wargaming need to really, really, really consider. Because even if you look at how many average players are online, because you can see in the bottom of your screen when you play World of Tanks, it's the little number. It has usually like a dash in it, and it will tell you how many players are online globally. And at the moment, in the mornings, it's between 6,000 to 8,000 people at any one time. And then you look at the afternoons and it's about 15,000. Now, that's not a massive amount for an MMO. And I genuinely think that you may see those numbers dwindling over the next couple of months, especially as lockdown restrictions end for COVID in various different countries. And I think that Wargaming need to try and keep hold of their player base that they've got. Otherwise, they will just find alternative games to play if they haven't already. Now, other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next video. If you want to check any more content, it will be already on screen right now. But once again, other than that, hope you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Goodbye.